Good morning. Welcome to the Water, Wastewater, Infrastructure, and Sustainability Committee, our first meeting. First thing on the agenda are the approval of the minutes of September 5th. We didn't have today's September 5th. How can you say that can be? You're confusing me.
June 9th.
June 19th sounds much better. Okay. Was anyone on this committee besides me?
I was going to say.
I was on that committee. I believe Councilman Waring was on that committee. I'll move to approve.
And I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is the refuse body repair and contact. Have I got the wrong agenda sitting here?
Future agenda items.
Oh, well,
You always were forward thinking.
I know.
There
That's
you
it.
go.
Here we
There
go.
you
Water resources, infrastructure, and financial plans. Always worries me when I see Denise sit down. Catherine, are you leading off on this?
Let's see, and, oh, here's the clicker. All right. Well, good morning, Mayor, members of the Water, Wastewater, Infrastructure, and Sustainability Subcommittee. Thank you so much for allowing us to come up and talk with you today. We're going to be talking about a few issues, Colorado River issues, our plans to address those, aging infrastructure in our system, and then what all these implications are for our continued financial viability of the water utility itself. So as you guys know, our challenge is pretty clear. One thing you understand living in the desert is the value of water. And water is the foundation, of course, for us for public health and economic opportunity, quality of life. We have to provide reliable water deliveries to our customers. That's a must for the city of Phoenix. But we have some challenges. 40% of our water is imported from the Colorado River, which is in some pretty serious trouble right now. I'll go through that in a minute. We are blessed to have an abundance of groundwater underneath us, but those groundwater supplies are fossil supplies. And what that means is that they're not really recharged at a very significant rate. And so once you use them, you potentially use them up, and they're not available for future generations. We've managed those resources well, but we want to make sure moving forward into the future that groundwater continues to be the supply of last resort, not the supply of our earliest convenience. Phoenix is held to a higher standard in the eye of public opinion. I don't agree with this logically, but it is what it is. I don't know of another city where article after article is written about water supplies running out, growth not occurring, even questioning the existence of our city. What these naysayers really don't understand is that desert cities are the oldest cities, and we will stand the test of time. But to do so, we really have to manage our water supplies sustainably. And Phoenix really has risen to the challenge. If you take a look at the 110-year history of our water utility and the history of our city going back even further than that, much of what we've done collaboratively as a community has been to prepare for, mitigate, or respond to our arid conditions that we face every day. So we've, of course, built a physically and legally diverse portfolio of water supplies. Here in Central Arizona, we directly tied the ability to grow to the adequacy of water supplies. And that's something we should all be really proud of, because no other city, no other state in the country has gotten even close to this mark. It's extremely progressive and forward-thinking. We've developed a culture of wise water use in our community. Our water consumption rates have fallen about 30% in the last 20 years. We're very proud of that as well. We as a community spent hundreds of millions of dollars to convert from use of fossil groundwater supplies to use of Colorado River supplies so that we would save those fossil groundwater supplies for the future. It was a huge undertaking. We've settled our disputes with our neighbors, with Native American communities, irrigation districts, and others, so that we have a clear path for investment in water resources. And of course, we've reclaimed and reused our wastewater, put it to beneficial use so that we save potable supplies for drinking water. But I'm here today to tell you that it's just not enough. There's more that we have to do. The Colorado River is over allocated, and I want to put that in perspective for you. The amount of that over allocation in the lower basin is equal to the amount of water, equal to 4 times the amount of water that Phoenix consumes every year. So it's a very large over allocation. It's a very large problem that we here in the Colorado River Basin need to confront. We're in year 18 of drought. We don't know if it's year 18 of an 18-year drought or year 18 of a 100-year mega drought. But obviously we have to plan as though we're in this for the long haul. Lake Mead water levels are dropping. They're at historic lows. And the scientists are telling us that they believe the Colorado River Basin is basically aridifying. It's becoming more arid. An example of that is that runoff this year was between April and July was 36% of normal into Lake Powell. In August, it was 2%. So these are real challenges ahead of us. As a result of this, the Bureau of Reclamation, which manages the Colorado River out of Boulder City,
The use of the term normal. So
Yeah.
what's normal? What year or what range of years? I'm
Right.
just curious about this. I'm not saying it's not bad, obviously. but
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
curious.
thank you for asking that question, Vice Mayor. Actually, it's an important question. So the projections are run based on a different series of hydrologic sets. So there's a full set that dates all the way back to, I believe it's 1902 or thereabouts. And then there's a more recent set, 1988 to 2015, I believe it is, that is also used. And then there's actually a stress test hydrology that is used, and that's between 2001 and 2016, I believe it is. So there's different sets of hydrology that the Bureau uses to run these numbers. The 36% of normal runoff, I believe, was run using the hydrology set that goes from 1988 to to 2014 or 15.
So for 12 of those years, it was not a drought.
Mm-hmm.
And then for, you said 2014, 14
Yeah.
of those years,
Yeah.
it was a drought.
Yeah.
So kind of 50-50, unless we had a drought
Yeah.
somewhere from 1988 to something,
Yeah.
which I assume you would say, so.
Yeah. And people started using different sets of hydrology because there was a recognition that when you use the full set, going back all the way to the early 1900s, that things have changed, and you're probably not representing what the future is going to look like in a very good manner. You're not doing a very good job. You're probably over projecting the amount of water that is going to be available in the Colorado River system. But more to your point, and I think it's an important one, no one is really sure right now what normal is. And the scientists are indicating that because of high temperatures, the Colorado River Basin itself is aridifying. And in fact, there was a paper that just came out, I believe just yesterday, that was showing that much of the decrease, the recent decrease in runoff on the Colorado River, relates back to high temperatures. And the scientists are calling for us to stop saying normal or average and start talking about a river basin that is aridifying. No one is quite sure what that means at this point, but it's probably not good.
We have about, so 1988, we have maybe a little more than 2.5, or a little more than 2 times as many people as we had in the state then. I think that's looks like you guys agree with that statement. I think that's probably accurate. How much water are we using in relation to that?
So our water consumption rates have declined very significantly, about 30% in the last 20 years. And to put that in more relatable terms, we serve the same amount of water as we did 20 years ago, but we serve about 400,000 more people than we did back then. So our consumption rates have become very efficient, and we've really kind of decoupled growth with water supplies, which is great. That's a really good thing. And we hope that those efficiencies and those increases continue. And that's one of our goals. And I'll be talking a little bit more about conservation in the next presentation, but our water use has become more efficient. We should be proud of that. The problem is it's not enough. That we're concerned that as Lake Mead water levels continue to decline, our efforts need to really be ramped up.
So the problem isn't we're building houses, there are more people. The problem is that there's less water available than there used to be because we're not really using more water than we did pre-drought.
Correct. Again, we've really decoupled growth and water supplies. We're able to grow without a significant increase in our water supplies. Our concern is really more about the resiliency of our existing water supplies and what might happen to them.
So we can't efficient our way out of this problem.
We can't, and I'll talk about that in just a minute.
Okay. Sorry to jump the gun.
No, it's great. These are great questions. It's really a question and a problem of both conservation and infrastructure.
But there is the potential, maybe you're going to address it, with new doodads that we can be even more efficient than we
Absolutely.
already are. Because I know there have been, low flush toilets, there have been all kinds of different things in the last 30 years that have changed a lot in water consumption, and that's helped apparently.
Yes, it
So,
has.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But because of the aridification of the Colorado River, because Lake Mead water levels are at projected lows, the Bureau of Reclamation, which runs the Colorado River out of Boulder City, they recently produced this chart, and it was actually shown by Commissioner Berman to the Imperial Irrigation District in Southern California. Basically, what this chart shows is potential worst-case scenarios. And you'll note here, to your question, Vice Mayor, here they're using a very bad hydrology trace of the years 2001 through 2008. And again, this is meant to show how bad it can potentially get on the Colorado River. And this is hydrology we have recently experienced and continue to experience. So the message is, if this hydrology continues, basically within 3 years, we can hit the third tier of shortage, and within 4, we can potentially hit dead pool in Lake Mead. And at dead pool, no water comes out the dam. So this is not good. And it is alarming that the Bureau of Reclamation is actually producing and showing these charts. It's something we need to take note of. I'm sorry, yeah.
Can I ask another one? So, so looking at the chart, so, during the period, the at least recent period up there, we've had presentations before where it was indicated Phoenix was in, pretty good shape.
Yep.
So now it sounds like maybe not quite as good a shape as before, for sure. And that is a result of a dramatically worsening situation that frankly is beyond our control.
So Mother Nature is in charge. And yes, things
But we couldn't have anticipated.
No,
historically.
things have gotten worse. There's no doubt. But I want to be clear about one thing. I'm not concerned about shortage. And those are the presentations you've seen in the past. Phoenix has been planning for shortage for 30 years,
Right.
Okay? We can withstand even a Tier 3 shortage declaration on the Colorado River. We're prepared for that. What I'm worried about is what happens next and if it continues to get worse. I'm worried about the Colorado River system crashing. That's what we need to be concerned about. I noted in the report that the Bureau of Reclamation was indicating that there's already a 14% chance that we will go below the third tier shortage in the next 4 years, 4 to 5 years. We need to take note of that. Those projections are not put out lightly, and that's very important for our future. The other point I really want to make, Phoenix has enough water to withstand even worst case conditions on the Colorado River. What we lack at this moment in time is the infrastructure to get that water, those alternative supplies, where they need to go. And that's the basis of our plans moving forward.
Madam Chair, if I could, sorry,
darn it.
your
There's
flow. No water pun intended.
It's all right, go for it.
So Tier 3 was the worst that people envisioned, and now they're talking about potentially going below that.
So Tier 3 has never been the worst that people envision. Under the 2007 interim guidelines for operation of Lakes Powell and Mead, which are the guidelines that we currently operate under, the rules, so to speak, their shortage is only defined through the third tier. So once you go below that third tier at 1025, we just enter into the unknown. And there aren't hard and fast rules about who gets water or what happens next. And so that inserts a lot of uncertainty into our planning and into our regional economy. And obviously our role is to counter that uncertainty and come up with strategies to make sure that the investment community, people who own homes, our economy, were protected from those types of scenarios.
So if I interpret what you're saying, we'll have the water, even if it's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily anticipate a few years ago that we'd be in the worst case scenario, but now it's either coming right in front of us or it's already here, depending
Hasn't
on how you
gotten
look at
better.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things not only haven't gotten better, it looks like they've gotten worse. But facilities need to be built to get the water to people, and that's really the issue. It's not that people should be concerned watching this meeting, maybe we're going to run out of water.
No.
It sounds like you're not saying that,
No.
which is what I'm just trying to reconcile what's previously been presented to us. And I think that's a fair, things have gotten worse. We prepared for that, but now we're going to have to take steps we normally wouldn't have had to take and invest money that wouldn't normally have had to be invested because of the worsening situation that is outside of human control.
Yes.
Is that,
Yes.
if I was going to sum up what you just said, my interruptions included, in the last 20 minutes, if that's how I would interpret it.
Yes.
That's the way you'd explain it. There's nothing in there I said that's overstating or.
No, Vice Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you. I
That's where we
appreciate
are.
that.
And this is, if you'll recall, the Black Swan. I know I was known as the Black Swan lady for many years. I thought I'd revive that. Yeah, this is our Black Swan, to your point. So we need to get to work. We need to build infrastructure. We have a plan that is based on infrastructure, conservation, and of course, partnership. So infrastructure. You can imagine that delivering safe, clean water to 1.6 million people over 540 square miles, 24/7, 365, it is quite an undertaking. It involves about 7,000 miles of pipelines, 5 water treatment plants, hundreds of steel tanks, reservoirs, pump stations, PRVs, wells, 50,000 fire hydrants. I'm probably leaving a bunch out. We can, to your point, Vice Mayor, we can provide certainty in the face of Colorado River shortage. We can provide certainty under worst case conditions on the Colorado River, but we need to build the infrastructure to withstand it. And what that means is kind of two different things. First, we need to increase our capacity to pull from groundwater and Colorado River water that has previously been banked in our aquifers. And we've been bringing forward a series of agreements to this council that basically effectuate that. The first was the Phoenix-Tucson Exchange. The Phoenix-Tucson Exchange is really just a way for Phoenix to gain access to recovered water in Tucson and then exchange it for Colorado River water delivered to our surface water treatment plants. We entered into a similar agreement with the city of Avondale just this last year. And we also recently entered into an agreement with SRP to call upon SRP's well capacity in times of need. We are also focused then on drilling our own wells in portions of our distribution system that would be most vulnerable to extreme shortages on the Colorado River. You'll notice that in increasing our capacity to access this banked water and groundwater, we're not pursuing any one individual strategy, but a basket of opportunities that we might call upon in different times and in different conditions. The way the SRP agreement works, basically, we have a first right of refusal to call upon SRP's wells. They would pump water we'd previously banked out of their wells, and they would put it into the SRP canal system. We could then pull it, that water out, at either our Deer Valley or 24th Street water treatment plants. But then our challenge, and this is kind of the second part of what we're trying to accomplish with our infrastructure, our challenge then is getting that water where it needs to go. So again, we have the alternative water supplies, but now we need to make sure that they can reach all the portions of our distribution system that are vulnerable in extreme shortage conditions. So we're looking at building very large transmission mains, pump stations, and pressure reducing valves in order to do that. I want to say, and it was in the report, this is not only an expensive undertaking, it's an immense one. This infrastructure is very large. The design of it is extremely complex. This is not infrastructure you can just stand up in 6 months. This takes years to plan and to construct. And I want to put that in context. You know, there was a lot in the news about Cape Town and Cape Town's problems potentially running out of water. 4 years ago, the probabilities of Cape Town going into a 3-year drought of the duration and intensity that they did was less than 1%. And for that reason, they didn't build, they didn't plan, they didn't prepare. And they really pushed the city to the brink. The probabilities that we go below the third tier of shortage on the Colorado River are already in double digits. We need to pay attention to that, and we need to build this infrastructure now, because if it gets worse, we're not going to have time to do it later. Okay, conservation. Conservation has long been the bedrock of our water resource planning. As you noted, Vice Mayor, our water use efficiency is very improved compared to even several years ago. We're very proud of that. Were it not for those conservation efforts, were it not for those efficiency gains over the last 20 years, had we not accomplished that, our water use today would be such that we would already have outstripped all of our Colorado River supplies. So conservation works, it's important, it's a very important part of our planning and resiliency efforts. I'll go into that in a little more detail in our next presentation. And then partnership, and I don't know if I need to say anything more than just the word partnership. It's obviously extremely important to us. Arizonans have a long and very storied tradition of working collaboratively and innovatively to ensure sustainable water supplies in our entire region. And that's what we will continue to do. Oops, this is just a smattering of some of the agencies we've worked with and signed agreements with in the last couple of years. We can obviously achieve far greater resiliency in our supplies by working together than working on our own. Okay, I am going to turn things over to, unless there's questions about this item, I will turn things over to Assistant Director Hayes, who will take us through some of our issues related to aging infrastructure.
Yep, good morning. So the issue that we have is we're really stewards of a 110-year-old water system that the people that preceded us put into the ground. What we have here is a picture of the Verde transmission main as it was constructed in the 1920s. It's a redwood pipe. All of you that come up to the 9th floor and visit us, we have a portion of it there that's held together by steel bands. And fortunately, generations before us have replaced this pipe and put in new infrastructure. We have not necessarily redwood pipe out in the system, but we do have old aging infrastructure that needs to be rehabilitated and replaced as we go forward. Our distribution system is one of the largest in the United States. We have over 7,000 miles of pipeline, as Catherine said earlier, and 430,000 service lines. And the service lines are the little pipelines that we have that run from the transmission mains or the distribution mains that we have in the street to the homes or the businesses that we have. And unfortunately, that infrastructure does fail sometimes, which we have noted there. And sometimes it fails catastrophically. Some of our failures cause major disruptions, major inconveniences to our customers. This was a particular bad day for Catherine and I, lots of news media and other things that we had to do. This was a 24-inch pipe that we had over at Van Buren and 35th Avenue, built in the 1950s or so, that had a catastrophic failure. We have a capital improvement program in which tries to address and tries to get at these before they break, but sometimes we didn't quite hit the mark there. Those leaks and breaks that we have are our customers demand that they get fixed immediately, and we want to. I mean, we get that call and we want to go out there, but we are held in constraints by certain rules that we have, and some of them are blue stake laws in which we protect the infrastructure that is underground and protect our workers. We have to make sure we understand what's underneath the ground before we get onto that. And those repairs do take a little bit of time, but it is something that we have and we are working towards. And to that end, since 2016 or so, we've had a 79% reduction in the response time, or the average response time to address leaks and breaks. Some of those are within hours, and some of those, take days to get to. But it is something that we are working towards and helping to drive that number down. Going back to replacing the pipelines that we have and trying to replace those ahead of time, because that is the best way to get at those, is we've almost tripled the amount of money that we're spending on pipelines since 2014-15. You can see on the average here in the next capital improvement program that we have, which is 18-19 through 22-23, we're over $100 million a year that we're spending on pipeline rehabilitation and replacement that we have. The other piece that we have, and that's really trying to go at the little service lines that we have a new contract that we have that goes out and tries to replace those before they break. And we're going out, and it's called dry replacement, going and choosing neighborhoods that we know that we're having constant failures on and replacing them before they have a failure. Yes.
On that point, do you look at the type of piping they use? For example, there was an era where we had a lot of polybutylene, and it may be in newer subdivisions and some of the older subdivisions. How do you evaluate?
Right, for large pipe and small pipes, what we're doing is we're evaluating the best place to invest the money. And so that's looking at pipe age and pipe type, what the pipes are made out of. And so we have those cohorts that we're analyzing because some pipes are lasting longer. We have pipes that are from the early 1900s that seem to be doing fine. And we have other pipes, the plastic pipes that you noted that were put in the 80s that we have a lot of failures on. And so that is really what this program with the small diameter as well as the large diameter is trying to understand where those are at and trying to get them ahead of time. Our program also goes back and we're rehabilitating our treatment plants. This is a picture of a reservoir that we have before rehabilitation. It has the liner taken out, and we go back in and we're replacing the liner which holds the water and fixing the concrete columns and the steel beams. But we're really looking at investing in the treatment plants, making sure that our reservoirs, our pump stations, and other things that we have are up to speed, and we're not going to have failures as we go forward. As Catherine noted earlier, with the pipelines and the pump stations that we have, a lot of what we build is very complex and very complicated. And you can see there, this is a reservoir that we had to replace at the Deer Valley Water Treatment Plant due to its age and the conditions at which it was constructed under. They're very large, massive undertakings that usually take 2.5 years to construct, and usually the same sort of magnitude to get them designed and to get them constructed. The other unique part that we have for work at our treatment plants is because we can't take our plants offline for extended periods of time, we're really trying to stagger when that work is done. And so we'll do work on one plant, and then next year we'll do it on another plant, and so that we're rotating around so that we have the resources that we need to be able to call on them if needed. This is another installation of a new pipe that we have. This is a 78-inch steel waterline pipe. There again, a very complex undertaking. You can see the span and width of infrastructure and dirt that we had to remove to get at it. Looking at the infrastructure and rehabilitation piece of our capital improvement program, you can see over half of that is spent on pipelines, with the other significant parts being at the treatment plants, the pump stations, and the water storage units that we have. And with that, we can turn it back to Catherine.
Okay, so we're going to, and Denise is going to help me, but we're going to bring this on back and talk about what all of this means in context for our finances. Just a reminder, of course, that the council serves, yes.
Can I ask a question? So I think you and I have talked about this before, but just to confirm, so you're saying that there are pipes that are bringing water to citizens that are 100 years old? I know you had talked about the pipes right outside this building, like
Yes, yeah.
feet
So
before
the ones
city.
that we have right outside of City Hall are early 1900s or so. And so what we have is a condition assessment on those that we've looked at. We did a recent project, I don't know if you noticed, a month ago or so, that we were out replacing a piece of pipe just to the east of here. And so when we did that, when we were cutting into it, the crews that were out were looking at it and looking at the integrity and the pipe thickness, because it's a metal pipe, knowing that it's still good and it's still not high enough on the list to get it replaced. Now we did another piece. But yes, there are old pipes.
So just to make sure I understand, you're replacing pipes that were put in like the 1980s in some cases, but not replacing pipes that were made in the early 1900s.
Possible, as we had an evolution of the type of materials that they used between the 20s till now. There were some types of of material that they used that ended up not to have the service life in which they were installed.
Yeah, I missed it by 70, 80 years.
Right,
right, right.
I would
Yeah.
say,
Normally
I
our
would say it
pipes,
seems like we're kind of going backwards. Progress isn't all that it's cracked
no,
up
no.
to be.
And
I
so
guess
what
would
we
be the
see
lesson
looking
there.
at older cities, you know, like Chicago's and all that, it's not uncommon to have pipes that'll be 120 years old or so.
Can we go back to doing what they were doing then and sort of get more bang
We
for our
can,
buck?
and so the pipes that we put in now are metal.
And that's
They're
really
iron
what I was
pipes.
getting at. So the stuff that you're doing now, the pie chart that
Yeah.
you just showed,
Are
you're
similar.
going to use the stuff that potentially would last 100 years. So future councils, my kids, whatever, aren't getting hit for a bill for
Yes.
something that's only 30 years old, where there must have been products we know they're available because
Yeah.
we've been practicing
That's
with
the
them for
intent.
100-something years. So that's something that you were definitely doing, and you're confident this stuff will last way longer than
Yeah.
what they were doing in the mid-20th century.
No, absolutely. And
Okay.
and Vice Mayor, your question is a good one. And it is important to note that no, we do not replace pipes solely on age. It is also on the type of pipe, the research that shows how long those types of materials will last in our soils, but also in criticality. So obviously we pay much greater attention to, for example, a 98-inch pipe, 106-inch pipe, than we do to a 12-inch pipe in a small neighborhood. So there's a little bit of both. And we actually have a very advanced large transmission main program where we go in and proactively inspect some of these most critical mains to look for defects and problems so that we catch those, we hope always, before they happen.
And those will have a larger consequence of failure. Those will be similar to like the UCLA type of one things where a large
remember.
diameter pressure pipe releases and it floods neighborhoods. So we're in those every few years or so, inspecting it, or looking at the thickness and making sure that it'll hold.
Yeah.
And I would just suggest, if you have more video of buses getting eaten by the roads and
Yes.
stuff, maybe you could sell it to low-budget horror movie producers or
could.
something as stock footage
Love it.
that might
Love
might
it.
help offset some of the costs of our
I-
cheap pipes. So no, we don't want any explosions, et cetera.
Right.
But so looking at the pie chart you had up there,
Yeah.
you can't just carve out to build the new stuff you need because of this worsening situation. You can't just carve out
Correct.
money from that
Correct.
because that needs to be done too, because we got pipes that are 100 years old or pipes from the 80s that aren't working as well or lasting as long as we'd like.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, Vice Mayor, that's absolutely correct. And if we carve money out of this to pay for efforts we need on the Colorado River, for example, we're just kicking the can down the road. We're making things, more frustrating for our customers, less reliable, and potentially, it's an issue of public health. The integrity of our pipeline system is really the basis of our delivery of safe, clean water. So, no, we can't take from the one to feed the other. It just doesn't work in our system.
And the other thing that we've noted with the studies that we had, fixing things under failure mode is always costly and
More
more
expensive,
expensive, right? And some of the things that we have at the plants, it's often maybe 4 times as more expensive to do things under a reactive mode versus preventative type of cost.
So if I could just make one point to the 3 Phoenicians who might be watching this meeting at home, however many there are. Obviously, one of the complaints, you guys, I'm sure, get them too, is the water leak that's been sitting for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That looks big, but what I've always been told is you guys don't, it's not first in, first out. You guys go to the worst leak, the leak that's wasting the most money.
Right, so
And so you're more focused on the bigger pipes.
right, so
And then you get back to the little one in the neighborhood that looks bad, and people get irritated, but.
So as Catherine said, it's based on priority and age. The oldest first, but based on priority. So we have the ones in Thomas Road where it blows up the whole road. Obviously, that is a little bit more than something where the sidewalk is wet. And those
And I
priorities
think
are
people
juggled
understand it
every
when
day.
I sort of explain it, or your staff does, whoever winds up fielding those calls.
Yeah.
But I understand the frustration of people calling in. We want people to still call. That's really my fear, is
Absolutely.
people won't call the next time because they think nothing's going to happen.
Correct,
Um,
Vice Mayor. We want
And that's not
people
what we
to call.
want. It's still worth it to call for sure.
Yes, and absolutely, we understand how frustrating it is to our customers. It's frustrating to us as well. But safety is paramount, and our crews cannot just begin digging in the streets. There are electric lines, there are natural gas lines. That not only puts our employees at risk, but also the public. So we just always have to be very careful of that. Also, oftentimes a repair can be quite simple and we can get to it rather quickly. Other times it might be in a right-of-way in a dangerous position. We have to plan for traffic control. There's a lot of things that go into it. We want our customers to call. Our customers are excellent stewards of this resource, and we want that to continue. We want to fix these leaks as quickly as possible as well. But it is a very large distribution system, 7,000 miles, 430,000 service lines, and there are some constraints that we operate under.
I assume because we're so physically big geographically, even if we're not the biggest city, we're still fifth, but
Yeah.
we're also, we got lots of customers
Yeah.
compared to pretty much most every other city. But physically, we're a much bigger footprint, so I assume we've got more lines than
Yes.
even cities with higher populations that are more compact.
We do. In fact, we have roughly the same number of water lines as the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. They serve close to three times the number of people we do. We have about double the number of lines that the city of Chicago has, and they serve, I think, about 4 million. The number might not be correct. But yes, we're 540 square miles, 7,000 miles of pipeline, 430,000 service lines. That's a lot of points of failure, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to what this all means for our finances. I'll remind you, of course, that the City Council acts as the steward of the community's water system. We do not operate for profit, obviously, but we need to make enough revenue to cover debt service, operational expenses, capital expenses, and then maintain adequate reserve levels for rating purposes and for unforeseen circumstances. If you look broadly at the 5-year expenses that make up the basis of our financial plan, our 5-year financial plan, it's roughly on the order of $3.4 billion. And you'll see here, capital needs are the largest portion of that. In fact, infrastructure in the form of current capital needs and then past capital that we're still paying for make up about 62% of those expenses over that 5-year period of time. So really, investment in infrastructure is the driver of our financial plan. And if you look more closely at operations, I want to stop there for just a moment. The majority of that, something on the order of 70%, is personnel. We run very lean. I can show you slide after slide that shows the number of FTE per account, the number of FTE per million gallons produced, benchmarked across the country. We run very lean, and we have kept our FTEs basically constant over the last several years. But nonetheless, when you look at operations, about 70% of that is in personnel costs. So the last time the Phoenix City Council acted on a rate recommendation, which was the fall of 2015, the CIP that was the basis of that rate recommendation over the 5-year financial plan was about $700 million. And to put this in perspective, today it is on the order of $1.5 billion. And that's a big increase. I want to take a moment to explain that to you. So this pie chart shows the net difference between those two CIPs. And what it basically shows you is that we are increasing our investment in resiliency, which is a reaction to conditions on the Colorado River. And that's really the bulk of the increase in the CIPs. The net difference is $400 million, but as I noted in the report, we expect to spend about $500 million in resiliency efforts over the next 5 years to deal with issues on the Colorado River. Also, we're increasing our investment in pipelines quite a bit. That's because our system is aging. And as Troy said, we're better off replacing that proactively than dealing with them in a reactive manner. The remainder are relatively minor changes, but it is worth noting we're increasing our investment in pumps and in our treatment plants and in a couple of other categories. Sorry.
So the resiliency portion of
Yeah.
that, so I know it's 500 million overall, and that's over a period of 5 years,
Yes.
basically. So that takes us to 2023.
22, 23. Mm-hmm.
So fiscal year 2023. So that is enough to offset. So let's say things keep falling off, Mother Nature keeps doing what she's doing. So that 500 million investment will offset, so we'll be made whole. Is that?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, that's correct. So
You're investing $500 million, which should offset
yes,
a looming environmental disaster, basically.
Yes, correct, Vice Mayor. That, with that $500 million, we will have the infrastructure in place and the water stored to basically be able to move alternative water supplies where they are needed, even under worst-case conditions on the Colorado River. Yes.
You may not know, or maybe it would be impolite to say, what are other cities doing? Don't they have, I mean, they're not as big
So-
as us, they're not as spread out as us,
Yeah.
so probably the dollars aren't as big.
I'm actually, Vice Mayor, I'm glad you asked. And I noted in the.
But we all do interact together, so.
Of course. And different cities have different portfolios here in the Valley of the Sun. So some cities are relatively more dependent on Colorado River supplies, some cities less. Some cities of the Colorado River supplies that they do have may be more or less senior in terms of priority in the system. So if you look across the valley, everybody's portfolio is slightly different, and therefore everyone is making slightly different plans. Another difference is that some cities have better well capacity, for example, than the city of Phoenix does. And so they're just in a better place to recover banked water. So it really differs depending on which city you look at. But I want to note what the city of Las Vegas has done. The city of Las Vegas is basically entirely dependent on Colorado River. And seeing the water levels continue to decline, they realized that there was a chance that their intake would eventually end up above the water line, or at least in a place where if they continue to pump, it just physically won't work anymore. And so the city of Las Vegas spent, I believe it was $1.5 billion to lower their intake to be prepared for worst case types of scenarios in Lake Mead. That $1.5 billion ultimately resulted in a 19% rate increase for their customers. So other cities are prepping as well. When I talk with folks I know in the city of Los Angeles, they're doing things very similar to what we are doing. They're focused on building additional transmission mains and the distribution necessary to, or the infrastructure necessary to move water around their distribution systems so that they can switch supplies and have that resiliency like we want to build.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to?
Do you want to follow?
Okay, I just want to do a follow-up. So if I'm looking at that pie chart, half of it is resiliency. And then the stuff that you were just talking about, the getting it to places, that would be the pumps, the treatment. Is that right?
Sorry, let me explain how this pie chart works.
Okay.
So in resiliency, I've labeled all the infrastructure that we need to be able to move the alternative supplies where they need to go. So within resiliency, that includes the transmission mains, the new pump stations,
okay.
the PRVs, right. And then what you see as pumps and treatment and pipelines and other, that's more rehabilitation and
Fixing
replacement.
the stuff that you already have. I'm glad I
Exactly.
asked it that way. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying, because I wasn't.
Thank you, I should have mentioned
Not
that.
criticizing your pie, but.
Thank you.
Okay.
But maybe
so,
the delivery, yes.
So, but, so the idea would be I mean, eventually, if there's no water, it doesn't matter how many pumps you have, but you're saying these other supplies replenish
Yes.
and we'll be okay, and we've got plenty of those. The resiliency is really getting that water to people.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
I misunderstood I mean, I got the basic gist of it, but
Yeah.
the pie chart, the way it was laid out, I
Thank
didn't.
you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Deb.
Oh, no. So we have a deal with a private water company, right? Up in the very northern part of the city, EPCOR. How would that factor into our plans? I know it's your district and maybe part of Councilman Waring's district, but how are we working with them to make sure they're a part of this process?
We actually work fairly closely with EPCOR. EPCOR is, in terms of the number of customers that they serve and their production capacity, is very, very small compared to the city of Phoenix. So I will just say, frankly, there's not a whole lot that they can do for us. However, but there are a few things, and we are exploring some opportunities with them. For example, something similar to what we did with Avondale in terms of well capacity. We're looking at all sorts of different options. Actually, where we've worked with EPCOR is we're going to be treating and wheeling some of their surface water for them to serve portions of their service territory. So, But we work very closely with EPCOR, and that's a very strong partnership.
But do they serve a small portion of Phoenix up in the Anthem area? or has-
EPCOR does not serve within the city of Phoenix.
Okay.
EPCOR serves the Anthem area, which is not annexed into.
They don't serve the
Phoenix.
west side that's in the city of
No,
Phoenix?
well, there is, I'm sorry, it gets a little bit complicated.
I know.
so-
That's why I'm asking. I'm
Yeah,
confused.
so they are actually, we are at this moment in time basically wheeling some of the water we treat at Lake Pleasant Water Treatment Plant through their system to some very isolated portions of our system in the very far north, until very, very small, until we finish out the infrastructure that we plan to finish out. Yeah, and those plans are already in place and will be in
Supposed to be in the next few years or so. We'll have the
next year or
pipelines in.
two. Mhm.
So ultimately will
Yeah.
be, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Denise. If you could push forward there. And Denise is going to talk about the finances.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the subcommittee. So as you know, the water department puts together their operation and maintenance costs, their budgets, their CIP, and then we put it into a financial plan. And so I just wanted to start this conversation off with the ratings. You can see the ratings are very high for both water and wastewater. We're at AAA. That's really important when you have such a big capital intensive program, because that means we can finance at a cheaper rate and we can also attract investors. So what we do is we look at the metrics to get these ratings when we do the financial plan. Whoops, it's kind of acting strange. And so some of those metrics include, as Catherine mentioned, reserves. We want to make sure we have at least 1 year's worth of debt service payments in reserves. So if our debt service payment is $100 million, we need a reserve of $100 million. The other thing that we look at is we want to make sure that our revenues are 2 times our debt service payment. So if you take your revenues, you take out your expenditures, that net revenue needs to be 2 times your debt service payment. That's just another indicator that we use. The other thing is we have quite a few assumptions in the financial plan. We have growth at 1% for 18-19, and then a very modest 1.25% in the out years. We also have interest earnings on that reserve account. We're assuming 1%, and then 1.5% thereafter. The water department, as I mentioned, gives us a very detailed forecast for what we call their big 3 expenses, which is raw water, electricity, and chemicals. And then we also take the rest of their operation and maintenance costs. We take the first 2 years of their budget, and then we increase it 4% in our years. But really, as we've been discussing, the main driver of this and any kind of rate adjustment is going to be this capital improvement program. So what we have right now is we have a pay-as-you-go program of about $100 million a year. And then on top of that, we're assuming 2 bond sales. We have a $600 million bond sale happening in the spring. And then we also are forecasting a $550 million bond sale in the year 2021-22. And again, because of those high ratings, we're hoping to get a very low interest rate on that, and that would translate to as low as rates possible for our ratepayers. So what that all ends up meaning is when we look at the financial plan and we look at that capital improvement program, we need a 6% rate increase for February of 2019. And then we are going to be asking for another 6% rate increase in February of 2020. And again, that rate increase really goes towards supporting that debt service that's coming along with those 2 bond sales that support the capital improvement program that's been talked about.
Okay, so we have a really fantastic Citizens Water Rate Advisory Committee that spent hours upon hours reviewing our operational efficiencies, our capital program, our water resource plans, our budgets, our financials, and God bless them. They even formed a subcommittee this year, knowing that affordability is a really big topic in the utility industry, to specifically study the affordability of Phoenix's water. I couldn't be more grateful for their hard work and dedication. I think you can imagine some of these meetings are pretty tough to get through, and I'm very grateful for their efforts. In August, the Citizens Committee did unanimously approve our recommendation for a 6% rate increase in 2019 and a 6% rate increase in 2020. I would like to point out, this goes to the work that the committee did on affordability. The subcommittee and then the committee itself worked with a professor out of Texas A&M University and one of the most preeminent rate experts in the country, and worked together to come up with a way to define affordability that they thought was reasonable for our community. That is it's called the Affordability Ratio at the 20th income percentile, and then hours at minimum wage. And I'm happy to answer questions you have about these measures if you have them. But the bottom line is that Phoenix ranks very, very well in terms of affordability compared to other major cities across the country, and locally here as well. So at the end of the day, the Citizens Committee also adopted a position statement formally proclaiming that these would be reasonable measures of affordability in our community and that water rates in our community are at acceptable levels in terms of affordability, which is really important for our consideration. To put that in other terms, you can see here, this is just a numeric comparison of our average single-family residential water user compared to other large cities across the country. The little sliver is the proposed increase that you can see there. You can see that we compare very favorably across the country as well. Water rate increases, this is a history going back quite some time of what water rate increases have looked like. You can see that while we were growing, we went through a period where we had some pretty significant rate increases as the economy went into recession. We of course cut back on our capital program. We were lucky that at that point we kind of had built out capacity that then when the housing market tanked, we didn't need as much of that capacity. We've now kind of been able to grow into that capacity, which is great. But we're entering a period of time where we need to continue our investment in rehabilitation and replacement. It doesn't make sense for us to put that off. And then again, the resiliency efforts that we're looking at on the Colorado River push us to a place where we need to start increasing rates again. So our plan for outreach is extensive. We will approach the Phoenix City Council for a vote on a notice of intent in early October. We will then use the months of October and November to do outreach with our community. We will be anywhere anyone is willing to listen to us talk about this. The other thing that we will do is we will send a postcard or mailer to literally every single account holder in the city so that so that everyone understands what the proposal is. If the NOI is successful, then, or if the notice of intent is successful, then we will ask for a final vote of the Phoenix City Council. I believe it's December 12th of this year. Rates then, if successful, would become effective in February of 2019.
Catherine, what would be the average increase for a homeowner?
So this year for the 6% in 2019, it'd be about $2.35. A cup of coffee, as they say.
And for the very minimum, how much would that change for our low-income families?
So actually for our low-income families, depending on where you fall in the consumption range, it might be equal or even decline. As you'll recall, we have a very generous allowance that is included in our fixed charges. And so depending on exactly how much water they're consuming in a given month, I guess I would say we wouldn't expect much change at all, if any.
Thank you. We do have some cards. Would you like to have Claude Maddox? Would you like to come up? Sure. I see several familiar faces. And I think we saw them on the photograph. So I just want to thank all of you for all the hard work and time you put in.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor and members of the committee. Claude Maddox, 2201 North Central Avenue. I am the chairman of the Water Rate Advisory Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, I think. We'll see after this process. We do have several members of our committee here. You probably recognize them as sprinkled out through the crowd and saw them on the photo. Want to reiterate the fact that the committee was unanimous in our support of this rate increase. I'm going to say we've spent a year in doing research and studying and meeting and discussing these items. I'm going to go back a lot further than that. When I chaired this committee some 10, 12 years ago, we were having these conversations then. It was before the downturn in the economy, but we were talking about the fact that a looming shortage on the Colorado River would require that we're going to have to tap those resources underground that we have, and that we did not have the ability to do that. We had implemented or started a plan. I shouldn't say implemented, but started a plan. That plan is now what we're discussing. And now we're at a critical point to where we need to take advantage of that opportunity. I want to also say that one of the things in our research, and I think the other members of the committee will corroborate this, Phoenix is by far one of the best run and tightest ships when it comes to our operations of any of the water companies around the United States. And there's a lot of big water companies like the City of Phoenix, but they don't compare. We tend to stay on top of things. We have historically stayed on top of things, and we have broken new ground in conservation and implementing programs in anticipation of the future. Unfortunately, the future is now. So we need to now start acting to prevent ourselves from having some major problems as we go forward and we start realizing and experiencing the shortages on the Colorado River. Sustainability. I like the fact that you have put sustainability in this, because we're talking about sustainability. We're talking about sustainability in our infrastructure, and I'm sorry that Mr. Waring has left, but you and I both know, having had years of experience on this committee and years of experience with the City Council, that there are organizations and businesses out there that bring the newest, shiniest types of pipes and things like that are going to be cheaper, save you millions of dollars, until we get 20 years, 25 years, 30 years down the road, and we're having to replace those new shiny pipes, or in these cases, plastic pipes. And, you know, frankly, I give credit to our staff. They have always said, no, we don't want to go there. We already know what the problems are going to be with this, and it's not going to last. So now we need to face the facts that our aging infrastructure needs to be replaced. And so in that regard, we need to be sustainable in being able to continue to provide water to our community. But equally as important, if not more important, is to be able to meet the needs of our economy and to be able to continue economic growth. And obviously, without water and the infrastructure to meet those needs, we're dead. So we certainly ask that the council seriously consider and approve the recommendation. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you many more times over the process as we get to the final vote. But with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. I remember the arguments when John Nelson was on the council. He's the clay pipe guy. And he was very outspoken about his opinion on plastic pipe, and he was right.
He was right.
Yep,
He was right. So gotta give John credit. Richard Ray?
What he said.
Oh, you're such a ditto person. Thank you. Questions?
No.
Comments? Motion?
Oh,
Just for
Oh,
Just
wait,
for
just
discussion.
discussion today. I'm eager to get this going down the track. Because I understand, okay, I understand how important this is. And I think it's especially for us in the northern area. We're one of the ones that needs the infrastructure and the wells. And it is important to the center city to replace the pipes and to repair and keep it in great condition. When you said it is our lifeline, literally, it is our lifeline, whether it's the economy or actual maintaining the healthy water supply that we have. So I just want to thank you, because you run a great ship. and you're always thinking ahead and preparing us to go into the future in a manner that really benefits the city of Phoenix. We do quality work, whether it's quality of water or the quality of what you do on a daily operation is very impressive. So I just want to thank you and have you spread the word to your operators and all the people that are involved, how much they are appreciated. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
I'll say ditto.
All right,
Okay,
so now we're
move
going
on.
to do conservation.
Okay, thank you. I know I've taken up a lot of your time, so I'll try to move through this relatively quickly. As I mentioned earlier, conservation is the bedrock of our water resources planning, very important to our resiliency and to our future. In conservation, we kind of have two broad focus areas. One is in education and outreach, and we are everywhere that we possibly can be. The other is our rate structure. And our rate structure is actually, it is very carefully designed to signal the scarcity of the water supply in our desert city. So what we do, and it's unique, I don't know that there are many cities that do this, if any, but we actually charge more for water in the summer, and we charge less for water in the winter. So, and the idea of that is that if most of outdoor water use occurs in the summer, and if you charge more for that, then you're providing this economic incentive for people to use less water in the summer, which for the most part means converting from grass to xeriscape. And that's exactly what we have accomplished over the last few decades. This chart shows, if you go back to the mid to late 80s, how hot, this chart shows our peak summer demands. And you can see over time, as this rate structure came into effect, how that peak has diminished to where it is today. And that's a significant achievement for our system and helps save some of the capital expenses we would otherwise have had to undertake. So it's the rate structure has been quite effective. This slide also goes to that point. So this is an estimate of the proportion of single-family homes in Phoenix that are majority turf. And you can see back in the 70s, lots of turf. I grew up here. If anyone grew up here in the Valley of the Sun, you remember this. There were lawns everywhere. And you can see over time, again, as we implemented this rate structure, as we became more efficient in our water use, the latest data we have is from 2014. We're currently updating it, but we're now hovering around 14% as compared to almost 80%. So it's been a very effective strategy for us. And this just shows that in, I think this is LiDAR, but this just shows an actual Phoenix neighborhood and how it has changed over time and converted from more lush landscaping to xeriscape.
Can I ask
Sure.
a question? So I think this is a true statement, but I'm sure you'll correct me politely if I'm wrong.
I'll try. Yes.
So if you have a farm and you convert that farm to a subdivision, that actually uses more people, uses less water than the farm would, maybe depending on what you're farming. Is that
Absolutely
fair?
correct. Yes.
So people might say growth is the problem here, but actually converting farms to people is actually a water gain for us.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, that's correct. And we noticed that in particular within the boundaries of the Salt River Valley Water Users Association, or SRP. As you know, Phoenix was settled as an agricultural valley, and as those lands have converted from agriculture to homes, we use less water in total for those homes than we did growing crops out here in the desert. Absolutely.
I guess said another way, because this has come up before, and I think in the state, they've had a discussion about, I think there was a Supreme Court case recently about something related to this, but it was not in Phoenix. It was not our domain. If we vote for a new subdivision, in light of what you just told us about water, on the surface, another water pun, I guess, it may look like we're being irresponsible, but actually, from a water person's perspective, that's not actually true. That's actually false.
So, like I said earlier, we have, for the most part, decoupled growth and water use. We're able to grow with basically the same amount of water as before. Part of that is because new neighborhoods tend to be far more water efficient than older neighborhoods. newer appliances, Xeriscape, they tend to, I'm not sure. What
Power
that is.
tools.
Power
Yeah, I don't know
tools.
what
They tend to
noise
be
is
far more efficient than subdivisions were in the past. But again, we do, in the face of shortage on the Colorado River, we do need to pay attention to where those subdivisions are, where that growth occurs, and make sure that we have the infrastructure in place
Sure.
to move the alternative
Right, to
supplies.
move the water.
Yeah.
But growth on its own is not what's driving our problem.
I would say that's correct, Vice Mayor, yes. Yeah. Okay, so here again, these are just the results. Vice Mayor, you were just talking to this. Basically, we serve the same amount of water that we did 20 years ago, but we serve about 400,000 more people with that same amount of water. So our conservation efforts have been very successful, but again, it's not enough. With shortage looming, we need to ask our customers to do more. And for the most part, our customers, they want to be part of positive solutions. So we are looking at a new and fresh campaign. We want to change the look of it. We want to change the feel of it. And we want to target specifically education and outreach. That's been a very successful strategy for us. We want to increase our retrofits in older homes because it's amazing the efficiency gains you can get from replacing a toilet. And we really want to focus on those retrofits in older homes. HOA audits. HOAs have large landscape areas. We want to make sure that they're using water as efficiently as possible. And then we're also very focused on helping our large industrial customers become more efficient, particularly in cooling towers, which are a large water user here in the Valley of the Sun. And then we'll also focus on tools that just help customers save money. They want to be part of positive solutions, but let's face it, a smaller water bill is always nice. So we are looking for approval of a new contract to go out and accomplish this new revised water conservation campaign. It's with a company that can help us with the multimedia outreach and help us kind of refresh that message. That will be appearing on the City Council actually today. Is that correct? Oh, the 19th. I'm sorry. It's been pushed to September 19th. But we're asking also for approval at the subcommittee of this undertaking as well. Okay.
Do you have questions?
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So, we had a recycling campaign that was enough of a dud that we're not going to continue with it. This is not that.
This is not that.
And we're confident this has produced results in the past. They have produced results in other places.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. These education and outreach campaigns have produced results in the past. The numbers bear that out. And we want to give customers the tools that they need to change their habits here in the desert. A lot of our customers are new. They come to us from other parts of the country. They don't understand what it means to embrace a desert lifestyle, how to accomplish these things. We want to provide them with those tools. Our education and outreach campaigns have been effective. We know that. And again, we will be focusing on retrofits, HOAs, our high water use industrial customers. No, we think this will be very worthwhile. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
That your first second? That's really exciting. Yeah, I'm glad I was here to see it. I think that's really great. Yeah. I was
Okay.
waiting. I'm like, maybe she'll just jump on it.
I wanted to. Thank you for that.
Future items? Is there anything that you want to add to our list?
Mayor, members of the subcommittee, we're talking to staff. I believe that it's likely we'll be bringing a stormwater update to the subcommittee next month in addition to the items that are listed here.
Okay. And will you, in the fall, be bringing some of those sustainability items that you've been working on?
Yes, correct. So going forward, we are wanting to do an air quality update, significant developments in that area, as well as some of the other things we're doing regarding our carbon reduction goals and related issues. So we've got a busy fall ahead.
Anything else? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.